Hi everyone, early 2000s skater boy here apparently. So here's what's bothering me today. There's been a handful of terrible developments that have happened here in Ontario. So for starters, we have to talk about something that happened on the federal level, which is that the CERB was replaced by the CRB, but not as many people qualify for the CRB as they did the CERB. That's problem one. Problem number two is that the province of Ontario did have a moratorium on evictions, but those recently expired. Problem number three is the fact that we are in the second wave of a pandemic. Problem number four is that it is now winter in Canada, and thankfully it's been fairly mild so far. But as many people love to point out, winters in Canada are a goddamn bitch. So these are the four main problems facing a lot of people who no longer qualify for some form of federal assistance during the pandemic. And they're at risk of being evicted from their homes because they can't return to work for a variety of reasons. Injury, immunocompromised, it is unsafe to return to work, their company still hasn't brought them back. I'm an essential worker. Yay, I guess. So there's lots of people who are now really scared and potentially facing eviction in the dead of winter during the height of the second wave of the pandemic and with no government proper response happening, unlike several months ago. So yeah, that's what's bothering me today, that we could still be helping people, but we're choosing not to because it's too expensive, and, well, you should have had a better job, and, well, it's personal responsibility, and all the usual terrible and blatantly incorrect conservative talking points. We have a chance, possibly, to restore the eviction moratorium, because that's something that was going on earlier, much to the credit of the current Conservative government of Ontario. They initially had placed a moratorium on evictions because they recognized, quite rightly, that evicting people during a pandemic would have been a really bad idea. So if we can hopefully get pressure on various MPs and government agencies to consider listening to the voice of the people and restore the eviction moratorium until the pandemic is over, that would be a good thing. So I would like to shout out Cat Lady for actually inspiring this video. The Cat Lady pointed out that this was something that was still happening. I was aware that a lot of people didn't qualify for the new CRB, but I wasn't aware that the moratorium on evictions had ended. So thank you very much for bringing that to my attention. And if you live in Ontario, I'll provide a link down below. Please sign the petition. And there's already a bunch of different organizations that are actually supporting the push for the restoration of the eviction moratorium. You've got like all sorts of, food banks, community shelter groups, abuse groups, just the whole community of some kind of aid network from across Ontario, from like Algoma in Northern Ontario way down to like Windsor at the very southern tip. Like it is a broad, all across Ontario, north to south, east to west kind of thing. So please contact your MPs, whether they're Liberal, NDP, or Conservative, because this is not just in the interest of these people to give them a sense of peace of mind and security, not only going into winter, but because of a pandemic. That would be good for them, but it's also good in terms of the broader public sphere of interest to not have people evicted during, the Christmas season and during a pandemic and right as winter is getting started. That takes a lot of the pressure off of various organizations that provide aid or housing. It also takes a lot of strain off of government agencies, and service workers during a very busy time. So please, if you don't know who your MP is, find out. If you do know, harass them on Twitter or via email. Better yet, give them a phone call, because if you blow up a phone line in a pop-up office for a politician, they will notice. Believe me, they will notice. So please do what you can. Show support for, your fellow Ontarians if you're from Ontario. And thanks again to Cat Lady for bringing this up and bringing it to my attention. But yeah, just like, how do you decide to let a moratorium expire and allow people to become at risk of eviction again? Not only during the height of the second wave of the pandemic, but during Christmas season. Says Mr. Traditional Conservative, probably, oh, I believe in good old traditional Christmas. Like, way to be a Scrooge about it. Like, how are you going to actually do this to innocent people at this time of year and during a pandemic and think that this is in any way fine? That is what's pissing me off today. That is what's bothering me today.